This is Assistive Technology for Fall Fun. We're going to go over some fall assistive technology, anywhere from raking leaves to prepping apples to some hunting activities. We're just going to kind of do an overview of all items that can help folks do that. The image on the slide is of a homemade, I guess, paper candy chute going down a railing so that individuals don't have to walk up the stairs and get candy. Someone can just send it down the chute and it will go into a person's bag. So welcome. As Jana mentioned, I am Jaleesa Irwin, the Outdoor Rec AT Specialist at the Michigan Assistive Technology Program. I really enjoy being outdoors, and I am a woman with a disability, so therefore I combined my passions and created an outdoor rec program for assistive technology. And the image on this slide is of me standing in front of Lake Superior while doing a hike. So the Michigan Assistive Technology Program is a free federally program that provides AT related supports around the state. We serve people of all ages. We provide demonstrations on how to use AT. We have a loan program or a lending library where folks are allowed to borrow the AT and test out to see if it works for them. We do awareness information. We do training such as this, technical assistance. We have resources and services to increase access to assistive technology devices. The cool thing about our program is we are people with disabilities, for people with disabilities, their allies, and other community members. As I mentioned before, we have a lending library. We have over 1,700 different pieces of AT for folks to try out. We offer short-term and long-term loans of AT to help people identify what does and doesn't work for them. We're always updating our inventory because technology is always getting better. Some are getting worse. Sometimes we take items out of our inventory because we just find that it doesn't work for anyone or they don't make it anymore. So just reach out and ask, hey, do you have this item? And sometimes we're able to purchase it. And sometimes we might already have it in our inventory. So what is AT? So we define assistive technology as any item, piece of equipment, software, or app that is used to help people with disabilities, including older adults, do what they want to do. Technology can make things easier for everyone. For people with disabilities, AT opens up possibilities. So on the slide, we have a couple familiar pieces of AT that a lot of folks have seen before or might use themselves. Walkers are considered AT. We also have like a rainbow pill reminder that has morning meds, noon meds, and evening meds. There's a doorknob grip that is helpful for folks if it's difficult for them to grab onto a doorknob. It's just kind of like a grip that gives them the extra grip, I guess, to open it. And then something as simple as a rock can be a form of AT. If you have anxiety or if you enjoy fidgeting to help calm your body or stimulate your body, a rock can be helpful for that type of thing. So MATP has a lot of different categories in it, and we have we have tons of items for community living, low vision, mental health and recovery, neurodiversity, outdoor recreation, gaming, gardening, environmental controls, hearing loss, reading, parenting, AAC devices, cooking, crafting, organizing, calendars, and ways to connect with family and friends. So we have all these little subcategories, and a lot of AT specialists have like their favorite category, which mine would be outdoor recreation. So we're kind of familiar with the outdoor recreation scene and also the AT aspect of that. We have a specialist for AAC devices, specialist in community living. So we kind of have a bunch of specialists doing what they love. And as I mentioned before, we traveled the entire state of Michigan. So this particular picture on the slide was taken by the Mackinac Bridge. We travel all the way up to the UP, normally with our trailer. If I'm going up there, we have the trailer loaded down with a bunch of e-bikes for folks to try out. So if you're comfortable, feel free to type in the question and answers or chat or raise your hand. And kind of you can tell us what your favorite piece of AT is. One that you use daily or one that you use every once in a while. Just what's your favorite piece? I have on my slide, this is kind of a collaborative of a lot of the folks on our team, but my favorite is Google Maps. With traveling for work, I use Google Maps every time I have to travel somewhere. It gives me an idea of how long it's going to take me to get there. Um, there's a feature on there that I can set an arrival time, so it tells me how long it will be, like what time I should leave. So if I have to be somewhere at, 10 a.m. and Google has it where they've calculated what traffic might be. So it tells me to leave 2 hours early or whatever it may be. Um, so I love Google Maps on a work level, but a personal level, I also love going fishing. So I can scope out different spots that I'm going to go fishing at, see where the access is to the rivers, um, see, is it public or is it private, that kind of thing. So Google Maps is my favorite piece of AT. Do we have anyone who is in the chat question answer? Raise hands. And I
You know what I'm
apologize.
enjoying right now? I've
Yes.
got a back pillow, an ergonomic back pillow I'm using for
Ooh,
my office chair because my back's been bothering me. So it just gives a little extra support. So that's a piece of AT that, it's a little bit less, a little low tech, but really helping me out.
nice. And then some other pieces of AT that are on here is the Libby app, which that's an app. If you have a library card, you register your library card on this app, and whatever is at your local library, and some stuff that's not available, it's kind of like a app library. So you're able to rent out books, you're able to be put on waiting lists to rent out books. Um, so you don't even have to go to the library. You can just rent them on your phone or Kindle app or Kindle iPad thing. And so a lot of folks enjoy that. Different types of fidgets are on this screen, and then Alexa is great for folks if they want to, ask Alexa what the weather is going to be, or ask Alexa to show a recipe. So you might have this device in your kitchen, and that way you don't have to fidget through cooking books. So Alexas can be extremely helpful for folks too, or play your favorite music and set reminders as well. So the most annoying part of fall, and some people might enjoy it, but I know that it's not my favorite time of fall, is to clean up all the leaves. Like they're absolutely beautiful on the trees, but when I have to clean them up, they're not fun. So different types of AT that can help folks is this green shovel rake looking item on the screen. It's exactly that. It's like a big claw to kind of pick up the leaves so that you can put them into your compost bin, or you can put them in the paper bags to put them at the end of the street. So that's exactly that. You can use it as a standard rake, but you can also pull the lever on the pole itself, and it will kind of grab it like a claw. um, Different rakes that are extendable, so you can raise or lower it to the height that you need. And this one's a wired rake, so sometimes that's easier for folks to use, and it's super lightweight. Another rake on here is kind of a hard rake, so getting the leaves that are in really difficult spots or stuck to the ground, but this has an ergonomic handle on there, and this is supposed to help with back strain. And I believe that one is adjustable as well. So my favorite tool, and I say this a lot, I always talk about AT, and my quote is always, this is my favorite piece of AT about everything I talk about. But one of my true favorites is a leaf blower. So with the leaf blower, you can blow leaves into a pile, you can blow them right into the bags if you want to. But I also use a leaf blower as my snow removal. I use it as my ice scraper on my car. I use it as um just cleaning up everything, cobwebs, whatever you can think of. I use my leaf blower on absolutely everything. So that is a great piece of AT for folks, and they make different ones that you can have them plugged in, you can have them battery operated, different weights. So if you're looking into getting a leaf blower and you might get fatigue holding something heavy, it's important to look at the weight of the product, because I know the one that I have is pretty heavy, and after a long amount of use, my arm kind of gets tired after using it. So that's something to look at. Um, Another piece of AT, this is called a leaf taco. So you can scrape the leaves up onto the plastic part, and then you can fold it and just put it into the paper bag that you'll be using for your weight, for your leaf waste. And then talking about paper bags, they also make reusable bags as well. I'm not quite sure how that would work with getting like leaf pickup. I don't know. I think you would probably have to transfer them to a bag that's going to be for your compost leaf people to pick up. But these are more sturdy, so you don't have to worry about the bag crumbling or you know, it collapsing on you or whatever. And these bags also collapse so that they're smaller in a smaller place, compact. Um, if you're using a bag and up top in the up top right corner, I'm not sure if everyone can see it because we have the pinned people, but that's a leaf and lawn shoot. So that goes into the paper bag. And what that does is makes it easier for you to get everything in the bag. Again, the bag's not going to crumble on you because you have that leaf lawn shoot in there. And then if you want to get adventurous, these are the bottom right hand corner is claws type leaf rakes. So if you want to, get on the ground and use those to help you out to, kind of rake up leaves so you don't have the long handle, you just use that. Or if you rake all of your leaves into a big pile and then you want to put everything into the bag, those can be extremely helpful. The orange band on here, I believe, is to put if you have the leaf shoot in there and then you put the band around it so that the leaf shoot stays in place. Do we have any questions? Okay. So the gutters sometimes can be definitely challenged to get to. Sometimes it can be unsafe for folks to get onto a ladder. I know last year I didn't have a tall enough ladder, and so I had to hire someone to come and clean out my gutters. Um, this year I am going to purchase one of these gutter cleaners. It's a nylon brush that you can turn to the angle that you need. Um, and this kind of just scrapes out everything. But they also make a hose attachment that can attach to any standard hose. And I'm hoping people can see it. It's a long telescoping hose, so it can adjust to the height that your gutters are. And it just attaches to the hose and sprays out all the leaves and stuff in there. They also do make gutter covers that, you just put it on your gutter and that way leaves don't get into there. But I have found that pine needles can sometimes get in there. Um, the stuff from your roof can sometimes fall into there, so they still get clogged. So you want to make sure you want to clean out your gutters, and these tools can make it extremely helpful.
We have a question in the chat, Jaleesa.
Yes.
How would someone find a list of items like this? I have never thought about this. I really struggle with my gutters and never considered that AT could be applied this way.
Yeah, so at the end of the webinar, we are going to send out a resource guide, and I do have all of these items listed on our resource guide. Um, just direct links to them. And then also when we as AT specialists do our research, we literally type in what we're trying to find to do. So if you go onto Google and you say, "Hey, I need to look up fall cleanup tools. Um, that's how I found these items. They make different types, brands, heights, because if you have a really tall house, then this one might not be, it might not work for you. So you can find all sorts of tools and gadgets. Google is our best friend, but I am going to be sending out a list of items of these ones that I've shown today.
Robin wrote, awesome. Thank you, Jaleesa.
Of course. So talking about hoses and sprayers and stuff like that, this is kind of in our gardening AT category as well, but this can be really useful for fall cleanup. I'm one to clean in the fall. I clean like my house. I clean up the garden. I clean up, I might even use a power washer. So hoses, they're a great piece of AT when they're lightweight. If they don't kink up, they're just great pieces to have around. And again, if you're using that hose attachment and you have a super heavy hose that kind of like, and it's strenuous for you, like you want a lightweight hose. And different style sprayers as well. So there is a whole hand use sprayer. It's kind of like a fire person style nozzle. And you just kind of pull back on it and it gives pretty good pressure. And then extendable, reaching sprayers as well can be great pieces of AT. And then pruning, again, I like to clean in the fall. I like to do my fall cleanup. So in the spring, um, I don't have much to do because I'm going to be getting my garden ready and everything like that. So for pruning, we have electric pruners that are battery operated. Um, these are great pieces of AT rather than just using, your hand strength to use the pruning. Um, I wouldn't suggest using anything over, cutting anything over a quarter inch. Sometimes these pruners will clog up and get jammed. And so it just gonna have to be mindful of that. This long pole at the very top is an extendable pruner. And so rather than using your hand to clamp down the pruners, you just pull this little orange piece on here. And what that does is it's like a drawstring and it will close the pruner shut. So people absolutely love that. A lot of folks use that for, the tall limbs that are hard to reach and you don't want to get on a ladder to do it. Um, it's great because I believe the one that we actually have in our inventory has a saw on it. So if you are cutting like a bigger branch off, you can use that saw and it's extremely helpful. Sometimes it's tiring. You're working on your arm strength definitely with these, but it's still great. You don't have to climb on a ladder. Um, and then also a cordless or battery operated chainsaw. Again, smaller branches are great for this tool. Um, it's just a little handheld, it's rechargeable, pretty easy to use. And then fall picking. So that long pruner that I had on the last slide can also attach to a basket. We call it an apple basket. And so when you're cutting, if the apples are high up, and you just cut the apple where the apple's hanging on, the apple will fall right into the apple basket. So that's a pretty cool little piece of AT for folks. And then you're not having your apples fall all over the place. Also, I believe this is called a Johnny Appleseed bucket. So it's a harness that goes on your back rather than carrying a bucket, and the harness will attach to your back, and then you just kind of have like this little kangaroo pouch in front of you that you can put all of your harvest in. And so this image on the slide is of a individual. It looks like picking tomatoes, which those are pretty hefty tomato plants, but he's putting all of his harvest into the tomato bucket. And then there's also a bucket that can attach to your hip, if that is a better placement for you. And I believe this is called like the berry picker bucket. And it has a lid on it as well. So fall camping, the fall is probably my favorite time to camp. The bugs have subsided. It's not as hot, And it's just more enjoyable. You have sometimes a better scenery with all the fall colors. So I wanted to put some fall AT on here, or fall camping AT on here. Um, this tent here is an easy pop-up tent. So all of the poles are attached to the tent at the tent, and all you have to do is pull the poles up and it all pops up. It's kind of like an easy setup canopy. And so that's what that tent is. The only pole that is not attached is on the rainfly. So it's good to keep track of all the poles. You're not losing a bunch of them. They're just attached to the tent. Um, the one downfall to this is that the to get into the tent is a pretty, I don't know, I'd say about a foot to get into the tent. So there's a huge lip on there. So that might be difficult for folks to step over, or could be a trip hazard. So that is the one downfall for that. Um, a headlamp is great for camping, also everyday use. Um, but it is a great piece of AT to take camping. You can just put it on your head and then you're free to use your hands. There's different settings on there. So for brightness, um, some headlamps come with red lights on them or green lights or, SOS lights. So if you end up lost in the woods, the SOS signal can help you be rescued. So lamps are a great piece of AT. Marshmallow roasting sticks, which are an amazing time during camping. So you can make s'mores or cook hot dogs on them. These are telescoping. They have a rubber, non-slip rubber handle on them. And that's great for folks, who need that extra grip on there. And you can add your own grips for, the thickness that you need. Um, there's also another telescoping marshmallow roasting stick, and it's called the roastin' reel. And this is pretty cool because you don't have to sit there and rotate the stick. You just reel it like a fishing reel, and this rotates your marshmallow for you. So that's a fun time for everyone. And then cots are considered a piece of AT. So if you're transferring from a chair, or if you have a difficult time getting off the ground, or if you have chronic back pain, whatever it may be, cots can be a great piece of AT for you to enjoy camping. And they're kind of more compact. They're, like a camping chair, rather than a big air mattress. And you don't have to bring a pump or anything with these. Do we have any questions? Oh, you're muted, Jana.
I don't see any questions in the Q&A.
Okay. And then AT for hunting. This is mainly a fall activity. A lot of folks go hunting. Well, there's early season and Liberty Hunt, which is for people with disabilities. That's normally mid-September. And then October 1st is general public hunting. That's open October 1st. And then you go from there and you go into November, and that it starts up gun season here in Michigan. Definitely check out your area, make sure that that's the hunting regulations for that area and times and everything like that. But there is AT out there to help folks go hunting. So the first image on the slide is of a hunting blind that instead of going through a triangle door or door that zips, the entire side lifts up. So you're able to wheel in there, or there's no lip to get into the hunting blind. So this is a great piece of AT for folks to use. The one that we actually have in our inventory, it's called a 360 blind. So on the outside, it looks like you're just your standard camouflage, but when you're in the inside, it's like a mesh and you can see outside. So that's pretty neat to see everything around you. Ghillie suit that is a poncho style. So rather than putting on pants and a jacket separate, this ghillie suit will fit over your chair. It's easy on off. There's no buttons, clips, anything like that. So that can make you camouflaged. And then the last image on the slide is of an individual using an e-bike. Um, to get out to his favorite hunting spot. So this individual is actually one of my dad's best hunting buddies. He's on our hunting property and he has a lot of back pain. And so sometimes walking far distances, I mean, we have 40 acres, so walking a long distance can be really, it can really hurt his back. So getting on the e-bike has been really beneficial for him to get and have access to different spots on our property. And then a little bit more into hunting. This scope is Wi-Fi Bluetooth scope that can attach to any like iPad or smartphone. We had an individual who is blind use this because he always had that spotter behind him, a person who helps him let him know where he needs to shoot. And this makes it possible for him to have his own personal space. So his spotter had the iPad and was able to tell him go to the right, go to the left, up, down, whatever it needed to be, rather than standing over his shoulder and picking different spots or telling him where to shoot. And I apologize. The dogs, they're doing road work outside. I don't know if anyone can hear that, but the dogs are barking at the people who are doing road work. So I apologize if anyone can hear the jackhammering or the dogs barking.
I can't hear it, so I think you're
Okay,
good.
good. Good. um, AT for bird watching is an all pretty much all year round hobby, recreation time for folks. But during the fall, there's migration happening. A lot of hawks migrate, and so AT for bird watching, there's some pretty cool stuff out there. So the first image on the slide is of a binocular harness rather than having like the neck strap that goes around your neck. This is kind of a harness that goes on your entire back. So binoculars can get heavy, they can be strenuous on your neck, and this kind of disperses that weight for you. And then they're always close to you. Then there's monoculars that are considered AT. So if someone has a difficult time looking out both eyes through binoculars, binoculars can sometimes be helpful for people's brains to just focus on just one eye. We have a coworker who's like, looking through both sets or looking through the standard binoculars is not helpful for me. I need to have focus with one eye. So this is extremely helpful for her. And then a tripod can be helpful for folks to just kind of keep the binoculars or monoculars steady. Also to take pictures. There's attachments that can attach, I believe it might be on the next slide. There's attachments that can go onto binoculars or monoculars, and it's a phone adapter or an iPad adapter. And what happens is you put your phone or iPad on there, and whatever's being seen through the binoculars or monocular is being seen on the screen of your device. And that way you can take pictures. So having the tripod can be extremely beneficial for that. And then if you enjoy bird watching, but it might be difficult for you to get out, or you just don't have the transportation to get out, you can bring bird watching indoors. Um, so the first image is of a bird feeder that goes on your window, inside your house. And it just kind of the window closes on it, and then it's stationary in there. You can put bird seed in there for all the birds. You might get squirrels in there. You might get some raccoons, but you can watch the birds from inside the house. And then they've came a really long way with bird feeders and attaching cameras to them so that you are able to see the birds that are coming to your bird feeders or animals coming to your bird feeders. And it's through an app on your phone. So if you see a really cool, rare bird at your bird feeder, you have it on your phone and you're able to, watch that way. So these are great pieces of AT for folks to try out. And then I'm just going to dabble a little bit into e-bikes because this is a great time to go e-biking in the fall. It's not 1,000 degrees out. Um, and a lot of folks enjoy, checking out the fall colors or going on hikes. And they might need an e-bike for that. Again, for hunting, for bird watching, you can use them. If you go fishing in the fall for like the salmon run, these are great pieces of AT for folks to try out. We have 7 different e-bikes in our inventory, anywhere from two-wheeled bikes that are, heavy duty so that you can take them off-roading, or bikes that can go pretty much just on pavement or small gravel. And then we have tricycles as well. So whatever you want to try out and see what works for you, then you can try these out and see if they truly work. So some outdoor rec apps are extremely beneficial pieces of AT. I know with me, again, going back to Google Maps, I like to see where I am going before I go there. And so with All Trails, it is a map of or different, I guess, a platform for different types of hikes. It the app tells you, how strenuous the hike is. Um, there's like different levels, so there's easy, moderate, and hard. Um, I can tell you right now, I just got back from a road trip across the country, and we did um different hikes in different states, and I made sure to look because I had my kids with me, and we made sure to find hikes that were like easy to moderate. Thing to note is that Montana's moderate is not the same as Michigan's moderate. So, Montana was definitely more a hard level for me rather than a Michigan moderate. So that's one thing to think about. And then the cool thing is there's like live updates. So if someone did that hike and the trail conditions were really poor, or they're like, hey, this hike is not moderate. It's definitely hard. They can put that on there. So you see live updates. You can see a tree fell. You can map it out. If you get the paid version, you can download the map. So if you don't have service, um, you'll still be able to track yourself, making sure you're staying on the trail. Merlin Bird ID is a great app to have if you're into bird watching. You can bird by sight, you can bird by ear. Um, you can bird you can pick, like, you say you've seen a red and black bird, and so you go on there and you can pick, name my bird or whatever. You click on that, and then you can pick the colors that the bird was, and then it will give you a couple different options of the birds that are in your area. So it might come up as cardinal, and then you can press this is my bird, and then you started your life list of birding, and now you're going to want to find all the birds in your area. So that's a really cool app for folks. I have the Michigan DNR on here because with new regulations for hunting, you need to report your harvest. And so you can do that through their app. You can also download your hunting license from there, your fishing license on there. And then also it talks about all sorts of accessibility, camping sites, hikes. It's just they have great accessibility features or places in the state of Michigan on there. So that is a great app for folks to use. And then Seek by iNaturalist is kind of just helps you identify plants, trees, um, and that's extremely helpful for folks as well. So kind of stepping away from outdoor recreation, um, cooking warm foods. It's getting colder out, which yesterday was an absolutely beautiful day where I'm living. So I was like, maybe we should cook something in the crock pot. So crock pots are a great piece of AT. You can set timers on there. You can just kind of dump it and forget about it. They have timers on there. I think I mentioned that already, different temperatures. So that's a great thing. I've even seen people cook like apple crisp in there, or apple pie. So they're a great piece of AT. And then different styles of cutting tools for cutting apples. This is an ergonomic knife, just has that handle rather than a straight handle. This is ergonomic. And then an apple corer and slicer. You just push down on this. And then they have also ones that you can wind and that will cut your apples into different slices. Um, They have a bunch of different tools out there. So hot drinks after being out in the cold or in the fall weather and you want some warm apple cider, Keurigs can be a great piece of AT for folks to use. I've even seen like apple cider Keurig pods or hot cocoa pods. And then different style mugs. So if you have a difficult time holding on to a mug, with whole hand use, this can be, it has a little slit in it and you can stick your hand through there and hold on to it that way. Um, a double handle mug can be helpful for folks as well. You can use both hands to lift it up and sip out of it. Do we have any questions?
No questions in the Q&A.
Okie dokie. And then accessible Halloween costumes. This is a new thing that I've started to see more and more, which is great. It's inclusive. Um, it's creating folks who might have a difficult time putting on different textures of clothing. Someone who might be a chair user and they're still able to like decorate themselves or put a costume on themselves, but also their chair. They have different styles, different characters. Um, a couple years back, I know that Meyer had started it, selling them in store, and then everyone kind of jumped on with that trend. So when I looked this up, I seen that Target, Meyer, um, I don't know if Spirit Halloween has any, but you can also order online. So that's in the resource guide of a couple different places that you can order from, different types of costumes for folks. And on the slide, there's a chair user in a dragon costume, and then his chair is kind of making him look like he has wings. There is an individual using a walker and has on a costume. And some things like you don't see, like that just looks like your standard costume, but this might have like, rather than Velcro, it might have magnetic clasp to put the costume on. And then the last image on this slide is of an individual in a chair, I believe dressed as a witch, and it makes it look like she's driving a broomstick over the moon. And then some tips for inclusive Halloween. It can be extremely beneficial for a lot of folks if you sit at the end of your driveway. So you don't have to walk, up a far ways if you have a long driveway to get candy. No one has to use stairs. It's a great way to just, and then also for folks to just kind of get candy and then go on to the next stop. Um, Keep outdoor lights on so that if there are any trip hazards or anything like that, this is beneficial for pretty much everyone. But if someone's low vision, um, to have the outdoor lights on so that everyone can see. Also, describe the candy that you give out can be extremely helpful. So if someone is blind or low vision, they can, you just kind of give them a description of what you have. That way they can have the candy that they like. Give extra time for kiddos. I know my daughter has a really difficult time choosing items. Like if we go into the gas station and I'm like, all right, pick out a snack. Sometimes it can be really difficult for her to choose the snack that she wants. And so this can be the same when passing out Halloween candy. So just give that extra time. Also offer non-edible treats. Again, I'm going to use my daughter as an example. She's allergic to artificial dyes. And so Halloween time is extremely difficult for us because a lot of candies have artificial dyes in there. So she does love the houses that have bouncy balls or stickers. They're just great alternatives. And then be mindful of your decorations. So, one that comes to mind is if you have like strobe lights, that could be, um, it could be hurtful or harmful to someone who might have epilepsy. or just, bright lights, or things that jump out and scare folks. Those can be all very overwhelming for some kids, for some kids. And then try not to judge. Um, Going back to like the costumes, a lot of kids who are autistic, might not be able to stand, like they cannot stand the texture of costumes, or it might be difficult for folks to get them on. So if kids show up in their, comfortable clothes that feel comfortable for their bodies, um, try not to judge them. They deserve to have fun as well. And so this is just something to think about too. And then on the image on the slide is of an individual, I believe, using ASL. Maybe our interpreter can let us know. And I believe it's Happy Halloween. Yes, I believe it's Happy Halloween. This was not my slide, so I was just, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. So, ASL too is something that you can learn for someone who may be deaf. So is there any questions about that? We're getting close to the end here. This one was kind of quick. Um, no question.
I don't see anything in the Q&A.
All right. So takeaway, we are here to help. We provide demonstrations on how to use devices. If you're interested in a device but unsure if it will work, worried about funding, or if your organization does not have the capacity to learn a new device, we can help. You can borrow the devices and try them. Our device does not have to be in our lending library. We add inventory all the time. We are free, federally funded program, and we're here for you to learn and create a space for more access to AT devices. And feel free to contact us. We will be sending out this information in an email with our general contact information, our phone number and email. If you're interested in learning about more of our organization, receiving trainings or AT demonstrations, just please contact us.
Yeah, we'll send out, and for those that weren't able to get in, we'll send out the recording, the resource guide, the contact information. So you don't necessarily need to write this down now, but if you want to, you can.
Yes. And as for the costumes, I know we said we had a lot of these devices. That is one thing that we don't have in our lending library. We're looking about getting some in our lending library for the future. But that is one thing because everyone's sizes are different. Everyone's needs of fitting wheelchairs and everything like that are different. So that's one thing that we do not have in our inventory. But pretty much everything else we do have.
All right, that's the end of our presentation. Thank you so much for coming. And we'll send out more information after the training as well. So look for that this week, okay? Thank you for coming.
Thank you, everyone. I'm going to stop recording now.